Welcome to the Tales from the Shark Tank podcast, your new pod for everything Wilmington Sharks. I'm your host, Lance Williams. In this episode, I'm joined by second-year Shark and Eastern Michigan catcher Lucas Johnson. LJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Lance. How are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, we had Wes on the pod earlier this week, and now we have a former teammate of his and another second-year Shark. So, first off, how did you end up in Wilmington last year?
When I was at Wright State University, my recruiting coordinator came up, and he's kind of the one who does the college placement there. His name's Nate Metzger, and he just said, "Hey, you want to go to Wilmington?" And I didn't really know much about Wilmington prior to it, but I looked it up, saw I was right on a beach in the Coastal Plains League, talked to Russ a little bit, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is a good fit. I like this place."
And so, had you ever been to Wilmington or North Carolina at all?
So I briefly drove through North Carolina through high school, but this is my first time actually being in North Carolina.
And then, you mentioned high school. You're from right outside of Hamilton, Burlington, Ontario, which is the western part of Lake Ontario, right? And so what's it like culturally there? How different is it in terms of baseball in that area?
So baseball, I mean, it's growing a lot there. It's not the same as it is down here. I mean, every kid in the United States plays baseball, has a dream of playing baseball. Up there, a lot of hockey, of course, and like just other sports like lacrosse, things that aren't necessarily the biggest down here, but baseball's growing there, and you can find a good baseball community. I played for the Ontario Blue Jays growing up, and that was my high school travel ball team, and we got to do some really cool things coming down to the States. We had like college tours where we come and play. I mean, I was a 16-year-old high school kid playing against like Florida State, Iowa, Penn State, a lot of those really cool schools. So that was a really cool experience too.
Huh. And obviously, you guys are about an hour and a half from Toronto. The Blue Jays are there. You grew up a big Blue Jays fan?
Yeah, huge Blue Jays fan my whole life. You know, I'm obviously still a Jays fan, but it's about 45 minutes from Toronto.
Okay.
Traffic in Toronto is pretty bad though, so it can vary a decent amount.
And then so you mentioned Wright State, Nate Metzger there. You spent your first 2 seasons there, then transferred to Eastern Michigan for this past season.
Mm-hmm.
Were you playing last summer in the portal? And what was that like, if you were?
Yeah, so I came down here at the start at Wright State, and then about probably 4 or 5 games here into it, I entered the portal, and it's definitely it's a pretty, I would say a little bit of a stressful process too, because you're just trying to be where your feet are and focus on the ball. But then there's always those thoughts of just, where am I going to end up? Where am I going to be? Like even geographically, how close am I going to be to my family, whatnot. So, but I just knew, you trust there's a plan with everything and just playing baseball at the end of the day.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's pretty stressful just with some uncertainty. But last season with the Sharks, you were a huge part of the Sharks' postseason success. You were 6 for 19 overall in the postseason, 2 doubles in Game 1 of the Pettit Cup championship. What was that like, that postseason run?
It was special. I mean, we had a group of guys. It wasn't necessarily the same that we started the summer off with, but we grew pretty tight, and we were kind of at the point where, hey, we're already here. We might as well try to win this thing, right? And we ended up putting a decent run. We ended up losing in Lexington, obviously, but it was a good time, and you made brothers for life that summer, so it was a great experience. So
it sounds like a great experience. And then, so what about it? This organization in this city made you want to come back in 2024?
Everything. I mean, I'm very generous with my host family. The K's are absolutely tremendous. I love all 3 of their children. Joel and Mia are incredible. They're awesome to me. And then, I mean, Russ is a coach, and really the fans too. Like the atmosphere, it's awesome to play in. And day in, day out, it's going to be a good turnout. You're going to have fun playing ball, and it's always just a good environment. It's competitive. We're going to be playing good competition. There's really not much better place to play baseball in the summer than Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah, Wilmington, a great community all around. You got the beaches, you've got the river, tons of stuff to do outside of baseball. I know it's a grueling summer schedule. Just every day you've got a game or on the road, long bus travels. But when you do have free time, what in this area do you like to do?
I love going to the beach. I didn't really know how to surf prior to last year, and I picked that up, and I love surfing now and going out even right at the sunrise at 6 a.m. like that. That's awesome. You get in the water, you see the sun come over the horizon because we're obviously on the East Coast, and that's tremendous. So I love going to the beach. I love surfing. I just like spending my free time. I like working out. I like golf. That's kind of what I primarily do here.
When you talk about the surfing, I know there's a lot of guys who surf. I know Cam Hassert, Trace Wilhoit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those 2 guys, you as well, you're not from an area where the ocean is. So what kind of motivated you guys to get into surfing? Is there anyone on the team who is from somewhere where they surf a lot, or is it just kind of adopted?
Adopted. I mean, Trace, he's not from anywhere with an ocean, and Cam isn't either, and nor am I. And we went out a couple times this year, but we all were just like, hey, we got some free time. Like, we see people doing it. It looks like a blast. So we said, let's give it a shot, and we all enjoyed it a lot.
So did you do that last year at all, or no?
Yeah, so I took some surf lessons last year because at first I was like, I don't know how hard this is going to be. I had no idea. And then my first 2 times trying to get on waves, I couldn't get up. I fell off. I got up, fell off, got up, fell off. And then after you got up the first time, it kind of starts to click, and you're like, okay, now we're off to the races.
Who do you say is the best surfer on the team?
I would say probably Trace Wilhoit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And had he been doing it at all before this summer?
Yeah, he told me that he did it a little bit, and he had some prior experience. So, and then obviously, like I said, mentioning our host families, they're also fortunate. Like my host family let me use their boards last year, and I know Trace's family gives him the boards to use, and that's very, very kind of them to let us use their boards and go out and use them like that.
Yeah, host families, they do so much for the team, and we're also so grateful for that. And yeah, I know Cam Hassard, he's training to master the LA waves.
Yeah.
For next fall and
West
spring,
Coast waves
so
out there.
I'm sure he'll have fun with that. But what is it outside of baseball that you would do before you got to Wilmington and just back home or at school?
I like to stay to myself. I like hanging out with my friends a lot. Just spending around quality time around people who, uplift you and who care and are just genuine people. I think the people you surround yourself with are super important. So I like spending time around my close friends and loved ones and my family. And really what I do is I play baseball and I hang out with my friends. I love baseball, obviously. And even in high school and stuff, that's all I would do. I would go to school, and my facility was about 45 minutes. I'd go there right after and wouldn't get home till 11 o'clock and just repeat, wake up, work out, school, and baseball. That was kind of my primary things.
Was baseball the only sport you played in high school?
So I played a little bit of hockey, but then for my high school, I played basketball as well, and I dabbled in some other sports, but baseball was my main sport. Growing up, I was a really big alpine ski racer.
Okay.
And that was kind of the 2 sports I was deciding between,
Oh.
whether I was going to continue skiing or if I was going to just commit to baseball, and I committed to baseball, and that was...
So how many people do that over in Canada?
Alpine ski racing? Over on my side, not as many. I would go down to this place about an hour west of Buffalo, New York. It was called Ellicottville, and I would go down there really every weekend growing up, and that's where I learned to ski, and I would ski race every weekend. And then from there, we would go on. We had like the Eastern Championships, Can-Ams, just like Canadian American Championships and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I'm a Florida guy, so I mean that's kind of completely foreign to me. So wow, skiing. That's pretty impressive. Does that correlate with surfing at all, or no? Or with snowboarding, any similarities there or no?
Just being comfortable on your feet and that, like, athleticism and with that. So yeah, it definitely helps with surfing and just kind of, getting up and balance with it. It definitely correlates to an extent.
So I've only gone surfing a couple times, and it's kind of similar to baseball in which there's a stance. You can either surf right or hit right or left.
Yeah.
So do you hit the same as you surf?
Yeah, typically if I'm getting up, I'll vary it sometimes, like depending
Okay.
on what direction. But yeah, I would hit the same way I surf, same foot position and whatnot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you noticed? Have you thought of that and looked at other guys? Like, does Cam surf left or?
I've never even noticed that until you said it. I kind of just like an instinctive thing. I just get up and then whatever way it just felt natural is what I would ride.
Yeah, because I think I've only gone surfing a couple times, but I think that's the one thing I do left is surfing. So, And then you mentioned you played basketball. So you played that in high school as well?
Yeah, basketball in high school.
So were you a good hooper?
I was all right. I definitely dabbled. I mean, my team, we were decent. We lost in the city finals, but it was a good run. And I obviously it's more so about the relationships and people you meet along the way. Like, those are all incredible. And I love sports. Like, sports is just such a good way to connect one another. But even the people on that team I still talk to this day. So that was something special as well.
Yeah, you talk about your relationships with your friends and family, and I want to talk to you about your younger brother, Cameron. Mm-hmm. He's going to Rutgers for his freshman year this fall. The lefty, I was reading online that he kind of pumps some heat, 88, 90 miles per hour. Is that true?
Yeah, he was 88, 90 for quite some time, and then This spring he had a pretty big velo jump, and he went down to like the New Balance Future Star Series, and that was at Globe Life Field, and he ended up hitting 93 quite a few times, and he's been sitting like up low 90s, upper 80s, and then a touch of 93 on occasion. He's got some good pitches to go with it, so he's a pretty good ball player.
So how cool has it been to see? I mean, you're going into what your redshirt junior year,
Correct,
so you're I don't know what is 3 years older than him.
Yeah, 3 years older than him.
So how cool has it been to see his journey? I mean, he's now going to a Power 5, I guess now Power 4 school.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that?
I mean, it's awesome. I'm so ecstatic for him. Like I said, I'm his biggest fan, obviously, and him being a pitcher too. Like I would catch his bullpens and stuff growing up, and even there was a couple occasions where in scrimmages and stuff I'd catch him in game, and seeing him develop and grow into the person he is and becoming, and also on the field, just his work ethic and his commitment to the game and to the craft. It's awesome to see, and I'm obviously so proud of him. And I'm very confident he's going to go down to Rutgers, do his thing, and continue to move up the ladder.
What advice have you given to him throughout that process?
Just don't ride the waves. Obviously, baseball is really hard. You have your highs and your lows. I mean, you can go 0 for 4 for one game, 4-4 for the other game. So just trying to stay in that constant middle ground, and you don't get to ride the waves too high, ride the waves too low. Stay in the middle, and it's just life advice too. Just staying with your process, trusting it. Hey, you can go out there and you can execute pitches, and you can get shelled some days, right? So it is what it is, but just stay with the process, trust it, and keep working hard, and good things will come.
Yeah, you said you've caught his bullpens. If he was on the mound, you were at the plate. What's happening?
Oh, 100%. I'm taking him yard.
Yeah,
I'm barreling him up for sure. He's a good arm, so I'll give him some credit. But I hit lefties pretty well, so I'm confident if he stepped up there, it would be a good battle.
When was the last time you guys did that?
I couldn't even recall like years and years and years, maybe 6 years, 7 years or so. But if ever that were to occur, it would be awesome. It would be incredible.
Huh. Well, I mean, you said it's been a while, so Lil Pro, he might have some new tricks to display, but
yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. Maybe he'll break out that slider on me, but if he does,
Okay.
we might not be seeing the baseball again.
That is funny. And is he playing summer ball this summer? I know some guys do that before their freshman year.
Yeah, so he's currently playing in like a Canadian summer league, and it's like a summer league kind of semi-pro league. So he's just getting his work and getting innings there. And there's ex-pro guys that he's pitching against. He's pitching against like AA players and stuff like that. So it's pretty good competition, and it's good for him. He's getting his innings in, he's getting his work in. It's gonna help him develop, I think, for sure.
Huh. So you said it's semi-professional. Are there college summer leagues over there in Canada, or not really?
Yeah, so there's like the West Coast League, which is like the Victoria Harbor Cats and stuff. So that's way out west, like Vancouver, Saskatchewan, Alberta area. And I think that dips into Seattle too. I think it's like the whole West Coast. But over on the east side, it's really the Intercounty Baseball League. And that's so you do have some like D1 guys, D2 guys, JUCO kids, and then you obviously have the ex-pros. So it's kind of just a compile of just ball players who want to play. Yeah.
And then for you, when you decided to come to the States for college, how big of an adjustment was that? And obviously that's a huge commitment, leaving your country. Yeah,
so I think the hardest thing was probably getting the visas and everything aligned to make sure I can come down here and actually stay out here. But I feel like I was pretty prepared for college baseball just with the way the Ontario Blue Jays ran things and making it really a college environment, the way we travel in the fall and whatnot. So I think that definitely played a tremendous role in kind of my development and being ready for kind of what the game throws at you.
And then when you came down here to Wilmington, you had Wes Earls, and I believe there was another Wright State guy last year. Is that true or not?
I do not think so.
Last summer was in the past.
Yeah, and I know we were supposed to have some more last year, but they ended up not coming out. But I know Wright State sends quite a few guys over here to Wilmington, and I mean rightfully so. It's a good program, but on both ends, Wright State and the Wilmington Sharks. So you can't. It's really good.
And how helpful was it having a familiar face in Wes being here?
For sure. I mean, obviously, you go to a new place not knowing anyone. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good at making friends or talking to people. I'm not too shy, but having Wes down here was awesome. We got to hang out off the field, and having someone on the field just to talk to sometimes is tremendous.
And then were you excited to see Boston, a former catcher teammate of yours here?
Yeah, I had no idea Boston was coming down probably until a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before I came down here, and I just texted him. I'm like, there's no chance you're coming to the Sharks, man. That's crazy. Like, it's a Wright State reunion. And obviously, him being a catcher, I worked with him all of last year, and we spent a lot of time together. So, yeah.
And then, how are things at Eastern Michigan? Obviously, you took a big jump in terms of production, especially at the plate. How's that been?
It's been good. I mean, we new coaching staff this year. So, yeah, it's been good, though. It's been different program, obviously, different setup, but, you adapt and you adjust to things. But, yeah, the strides I took at the plate, I think, just getting reps and trusting myself, having a coaching staff that trusts and believes in me to do what I can do, go out on the ball field and execute the way I can. So I think that's the main thing, just reps and having a coaching staff that, believes in you, and just self-belief too. You enter the portal and stuff, you're questioning things or whatnot, and then you're like, you know what, like, I got this under control. I know the ball player I am. I just need to go out and do what I can do, and that's kind of what happened this year, so it was good.
And I was looking on your Eastern Michigan profile online. It says you're an economics major. I'm an economics major, so can you tell me about that at all?
Yeah, so, I mean, right now I'm going through it, and it's terrible with the credits transferring and whatnot between the schools. But, yeah, I just went in. I think I went into Wright State as undecided, and I declared economics pretty early. But I knew that's kind of like the field I liked. I'm big into numbers. Numbers click well for me, so anything like that. Any business, finance, economic stuff work well for me. So, yeah, I really enjoy it. But, I mean, you can probably talk about it as well. Economics?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like doing the sports stuff more, but it's definitely an interest of mine as well. But I'd definitely much rather talk about sports and stuff. You mentioned the Eastern Michigan coaching staff changes. We've had some changes in this coaching staff. Austin Skipper is a teammate of yours last year, and adding Reese Sabo as well. What's it been like, Skipper the player versus Skipper the coach?
I mean, there's not really too many differences. Like, he was respected as a player. All the guys respect him, and he's a funny guy, and he's easy to get along with. I mean, you see him out there right now by the tarp, but he's a good guy. He's a great person, and, he sets things straight. He wants to – I mean, our pitching staff for the majority of the season has been really good, and obviously we got guys, but Skipper's done a good job with them, and he's a good coach. He actually – I was kind of skeptical. I wasn't sure what I was coming into with Austin Skipper, but I like him as a coach. Austin Skipper as a coach is very good.
Yeah, that's what Wes Earls said. He said his expectations for Skipper as the coach were low, but he's blown them out of the waters, and Skipper has done really a great job with this team. I mean, you look at the pitching stats, and it's ridiculous. It's right at the top for just about every pitching category. ERA is their top 5. Strikeouts aren't the highest, but I mean, it's just retiring batters. I mean, that's all you can do. So Skipper, he's done a great job. And then with Russ Burrows, obviously your second year under him, how's he like as a coach?
Good. He's a coach that kind of, he says, hey, I trust you as a ball player. You're on the field for a reason. Go play. Go have some fun. And he makes it a pretty good environment to go play free and loose. And he says, what happens. Just leave it out there and compete for all 9 innings, and that's all you can ask for, right? So he's pretty loose with everyone, and he's definitely a player first coach. He cares about his guys, and he obviously wants to win baseball games like anybody who's here wants to. But he's consistent day in, day out, and he trusts his guys to go play ball, and that's all you can ask for in a head coach.
And then with summer ball, obviously, of course, you just want to get more reps, get more experience. But is there anything that you've came here to Wilmington, whether it be last year or this year, that you specifically want to improve on?
Nothing in particular, just getting my reps, whether that be behind the plate. And I started playing some first base this year at Eastern Michigan, so just getting my reps wherever it can be, and obviously winning baseball games while you do it, and that's all I can really ask for. When you're in college, like, you're not necessarily going to take the largest jump. Like, what you're getting is probably closer to what you're getting. You're obviously going to improve and polish your game more, but just staying consistent with the routine. That's kind of what I want to do more so. Is just continue to trust the process, stay consistent in my routine, and let the game take care of itself.
So was last year your first year of summer ball?
Last year, so I played my freshman year. I was supposed to go to the Thunder Bay Border Cats in Thunder Bay, Canada, for the Northwoods League, and then COVID actually canceled that. So I ended up going down to the North Platte Plainsman, where I actually played with Drew Sturgeon. Okay. So this is our 3rd year playing summer ball together in 3 years, which is pretty crazy. Yeah.
And so how much do you think last year's success with the Sharks helped you with preparing yourself for Eastern Michigan you had a larger role there?
For sure. I think it played a big role. I mean, just knowing that I can go out there and I can trust my abilities and I know I can play ball was a big thing. And I knew, like, hey, I've been seeing quality arms all summer. I've been catching really, I mean, like we've talked about the Sharks pitching staff, but catching great arms all summer. I knew I was coming in there. I'm like, this is my role right here. I know the ball player I am, and just getting the reps and even going through a Pettit Cup championship run, like it's playoff baseball, right? It's competitive. Things are on the line, so it's really good for development.
And then mentioning Drew Sturgeon, relationship building. What's it like when you meet these guys and then you see them in college baseball? Have you had that yet?
Yeah, I have. So last year, Cade Granzow and Blake Barton were on this team. They are teammates with Jordan Zuger, and we actually opened up our series at Belmont this year, and it's so cool. And when I see Belmont on the schedule, I'm like, dude, these are my guys from last year. You know, Cade, he's someone who drove down here just for the playoff game to pitch last year. He's such a good person. You know, he's really close in his faith, and great person. Even like nothing but great things to say about the kid.
And then there's obviously, I mean, that must mean more when you get to play against a guy you're friends with and you've seen their stuff. Do you feel like you have an advantage over that?
For sure, a little bit. Like when I was facing Cade, I think he walked me that at bat, but when I went out there, I'm like, I kind of knew pitch calling. Like I had a general idea of what I was going to get and what pitches, if they start somewhere, you know, lay off that pitch. So that's with anything. The more you see a guy, the better you're going to be against him typically.
But I'd also imagine there's probably some mind games because he's like, okay, this guy knows I love to throw this, so maybe I'll lean on that pitch more. Maybe this pitch I'm working on that he hasn't seen that often.
For sure, yeah, that also runs through your head too. And even I think I caught 3 out of the 4 games when we were at Belmont through the doubleheader. But even with Blake Barton calling pitches against him, I'm like, what pitches should we go with here to set him up, knowing how he is as a hitter from the time he spent with the Sharks.
And then let's get back to your brother. I mean, as a catcher and then a younger brother as a pitcher, I mean, there's a similar thing in the major leagues with Austin Nola, the older brother, the catcher, and then Aaron Nola, the younger brother and pitcher with the Phillies. Do you think it gives a different perspective that you can offer as a catcher because that catcher-pitcher relationship is so important?
For sure. I mean, you see a lot of catchers and stuff. They go on to be pitching coaches, and they work in tandem with the pitcher at all times, and you know, being able to talk them through certain situations. And I've been fortunate to be around a lot of really good coaches who have taught me how to good terminology and how to speak to pitchers. And I feel really confident. You know, if a pitcher's out there, I see them flying up the shoulder, tell them that. There's Billy on our team. I was able to I gave him a new changeup grip the other day. Just little things like that just come kind of naturally when you play the position of a catcher. I guess you're the quarterback of the defense in a sense.
Interesting. And I guess one last thing. You said in Moorhead City a couple weeks ago when we do this podcast that you're going to be interviewing me. So is there any questions that you have?
So I mean, you can tell them. I don't know if you've told them with the West, but where do you go to school, Lance?
So I go to the University of Florida down in Gainesville in the SEC. So that's my stomping grounds. It's a lot of fun down there.
Yeah, it just means more, right?
Just means more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. No, but I mean, this is obviously my first year with you, and it's not just me who thinks this. A lot of the guys here, you're, especially for your age and stuff, you're incredibly professional, and you go about your stuff in a really good manner, and you're great at what you do. It's really impressive to see someone, especially your age, taking on the role you do and doing what you're doing. It's awesome.
Well, that really means a lot to me because, I mean, it's funny. I mean, the Coastal Plain League is for college students, college players, and college broadcasters as well. And we all kind of have the same goal. Obviously, I'm not an athlete like you guys, so we have some differences there. But, I mean, my goal here is just to get more reps and to improve and to look to build my career as a professional as all of you guys are. So there's a lot of continuity there, and obviously it means a lot for you saying that. And I'm appreciative, and I'm really thankful for you coming on. I mean, this has been a great discussion. Wes Earls, he says, man, you think my podcast is going to be great? LJ, he had nothing but the best things to say about you. He said you always have a smile on your face, which is always true. And so, once again, I'm really appreciative for having you on.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much, Lance.
All right, so that's episode 2 of Tales from the Shark Tank with Lucas Johnson.